That was weird. Yes! We are here, we are live. That was Guile's theme. I am me, you are you. What is up? Oh my god. Ah! Today is Tuesday, my dudes. And I am still kind of waking up. Bring my notes up. Bring my screenshots up as well. I feel like those are important. Whoa, Columbia. $20 says, "Oh my god, this episode was brutal. Absolutely love the Rising Xeon Cold Civil War. New mech interests me. Season 2 looks to be a powerhouse. Plus Lala and Char confirmed. From what I saw, the series keeps me invested, man." That is part of what we will be discussing today for sure. Do a little theory crafting. And then another thing that I will do as well is that if there are people who have questions about the video that I just published today, we will also answer those. And if there is some confusion over it, I will try to make things clearer than what I did. Because I do, though I do think that, like, my reading of the law was good, you know, and I checked with Hatman to make sure that I was doing it right. At the same time, I feel like one thing that people got confused by, like, they didn't realize that at the very end of the video, I was theory crafting. I was basically like game theory. You know, it's like, this could happen. I could see it happening. This is why. You know, but I really feel like a lot of people did not understand the idea of, you know, how the bill could work and how fucking hard it would actually be to flat out ban an anime based on how the bill works. So YouTube has balls putting ads in live streams. Admittedly, there is a way to turn them off, but it is like kind of a roundabout way of doing it. I don't, because, you know, I don't really make a huge ton of money or a bucket of money off of streaming like other people do. I will say this. I would like to get to a point where I can turn them off, you know, because I don't particularly like how they interrupt the viewing experience of a live stream. Especially, like, let's do a test here, because we people are still coming in. So, for those of you who are here, put a 1 in chat if you watch my streams on your primary monitor. Put a 2 if you have me on the secondary. We'll do a little thought experiment real quick. Because I do have a point with this, trust me. Six. Wow, a lot of you have me on the primary. Okay. Or I'm on the phone. Alright, so only have one monitor. Fair enough. I have 3. So you know, there's primary, there's secondary number 1, and there's secondary number 2. They're actually like lined up as in like streaming monitor, meaning like all my streaming stuff is on this one, my primary monitor, and then like my secondary right here to my right. But anyway, so the reason I bring that up is one thing I fucking hate is when I have something on my secondary monitor, I'm playing a game, and then an ad pops up on the secondary monitor. I have to pause the game, I have to alt-tab out, I have to go over to the other window, click skip ad, and then go back to the game. And some older games do not play well with alt-tab. So, you know, it's not an ideal situation. So I get it. if we get to a point where we're raking in more dough through super chats and whatnot, I will probably turn off advertisements for live streams at that point. I don't know what that threshold needs to be, but it is what it is. But I also understand that it's times are tough for everybody financially right now, so it's one of those things where I'm not gonna be a dick about it. I'm just being real with you about this because this is my job, But anyway, let's talk about the episode itself. So, as you can see here, I have a screenshot from the episode. This is also what I used for the title card. Gee, guys, doesn't this look kind of familiar? If you close your eyes, it feels like nothing's changed at all. If you close your eyes, doesn't feel like you've been here before. Oh, God. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Get Zone of the Enders vibes? Zone of the Enders copied what this is referencing too. But yeah, this is quite literally shot for shot Evangelion Unit 1. It's even colored like EVA Unit 1. For those who don't know. Yeah, getting the robot. Exactly. Let me see if I can actually find the actual, like, an image of the shot. I'm actually not finding. I would have to actually pull up my DVDs of Evangelion to probably get it. Oh wait, here's a similar one from the movie, but this is not the one that I'm thinking of. This is not the one from the original anime. Same camera position, but it's zoomed in further. And admittedly, the EVA unit is closer because even EVA Unit 1 is fucking massive. Like, for those who don't know, an Evangelion unit is basically a kaiju. So they are very, very, very big. This is apparently art from someone named Fabrizio Fioretti. Let's check this. Oh, wow. This is dope. Check that out. That's really cool looking. That's some really good mecha art. I'm going to have to follow this guy on ArtStation. What's his name? Fabrizio Fioretti. Really? So the dude who drew that is actually works for Industrial Light and Magic. That's awesome. Evangelion's a very, very, very influential mecha, folks. Anybody who says the opposite is a fucking liar. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about you facepalmed. One of the writers of this is the creator of Evangelion, man. Have a little grace. Jesus. Anyway, what I'm gonna do, we will leave Gundam Unit 01 right there. So let's talk about what was actually in the episode from start to finish. So it started off with basically wrapping up the 1-year war. You know, it lets you know what happened during the final battle. In this particular case, in this timeline, it is not the battle of Awaku. It is the battle of Luna 2. Effectively, what they do is the Federation is trying to steer Solomon into Luna 2 to basically take them out. What happens during the mission is that they're going to take 4 Zaku's that are not, functioning anymore and detonate the nuclear reactors in them to effectively blow up the entirety of Luna 2 to make sure, of Solomon rather, so it does not land on Luna 2. Char, of course, sabotages this because at this point, he still wants to kill all the zombies, and if he allows Luna 2 to be hit with this, he will do exactly that. So, or at least kill Kycilia and Giran in theory. We also hear that, Kycilia actually mentions that she knows Char as Casval. Now, for those who don't know, I did go over this in my 1-year war video, but it's been a minute since that came out, so just to reiterate, Kycilia always knew he was Casval. She's always known. Because she's the head of the intelligence bureau. Like, she's supposed to know these things. So she had him figured out from like day one. Which, granted, given that she is, I want to say she's in her like 30s or something in Gundam. Let me have a look. She doesn't, she looks older, but I think that's just the art style. How old is Kycilia Zabi in Gundam? 24? 24? I'm sorry, what? She looks like she's in her 40s. What the hell? Like, just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just fucking. How is this a 24-year-old woman? How? What do the Zoomers call it? Hag maxing? Like this is not a 24-year-old. Like, no fucking way. Like let's. Let's 499 from Assault Gun. Thank you. He says Frerin. We're getting there. Let me actually put. There we go. We're at $35. So let's just make this straight. Like, so this is a 22-year-old, right? But in 2 years you age 40 in Xeon apparently. What the fuck? Oh my god. But yeah, they draw her old in the original art style. Like, it's really weird. So anyway, also I'm gonna dig into my Discord server because my editor posted something that I'm wondering if this is the case. But we will We'll do our theory crafting here in a minute. But Rambaral was 35 in the 1 Year War, and he honestly, like, here's the thing about Rambaral. I could buy 35 with him just because of the mustache. Like, let's be honest. Some of you guys in here who have been watching me for a while, every time I shave off my beard, I de-age like 10 years, honestly. Like, if I have a full beard, I look my age. If I shave it off, I don't. The only thing that you can tell that I'm as old as I am is because of my wrinkles, you know, because it's part of the aging process. I'm lucky that I age pretty gracefully. Because I'm fat, admittedly. Like, admittedly, one thing that will make you look older is if you lose a lot of weight. The one Coke product I will buy on the regular. Cherry Coke. This is the best cherry soda on the market. It's so smooth. It's one thing I appreciate about it. I'm big on a smooth drink. It's part of the reason I give you 30. Is that true or not? What? How old I am? I'm in my 30s, yeah. We'll do. I'm not gonna do the whole guess Micah's age thing right now, though. I am older. Like I am for the internet. I am ancient. Like a bunch of cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper. I don't think I've ever tried that. But anyway, like I'm among content creators. I'm ancient. Like I'm old. For the internet. I have a feeling that, like, as the channel continues to grow and we continue to, like, find success on it, the one thing people are going to bag on me about as the years go on is, you are X age, why are you on YouTube? And my response is going to be, because it makes me money. You know? Anyway, let's keep talking about Gundam, though. So, what ends up happening is, Char fights his sister, who is in a gun cannon, which they call a gun cannon light. Birdhouse art is a year off, but they call it the gun cannon light type, which is basically a gym, but it's basically the gym cannon is what it looks like in design. But it's colored like a Gundam, and it turns out that it is Char's sister, but there's not really a whole lot of interaction. It's a very quick sort of fight between the two that we see. And then she retreats, but he can tell that it's Artesia that's in the machine. And then he encounters the Rose of Sharon. Now, for those who don't know, the Rose of Sharon is a few different things. It is a plant known as the hibiscus, but it's also a biblical expression. In Song of Solomon. But it's effectively just meant to reference a really pretty rose. Because for those who don't know, Song of Solomon is a hilarious book of the Bible. And I mean that in all seriousness. It's fucking funny. Like, we used to... When I was for those who don't know, when I went to college, I went to college specifically for theology and philosophy. One thing we used to do is we would read through the book Song of Solomon for laughs, because it's fucking hilarious. Like, Solomon had negative riz. it's fucking amazing. But regardless. That's the Rose of Sharon is a biblical reference, but I don't really think that there's a whole lot of, stuff going on with it. But at this point, we actually see Char go beyond the time. That event, I forget what they call it, happens. I'm still under the impression that the event is like a Psycho Frame event. But the Kira shows up, and Char disappears. And there's a massive hole left in Solomon as it floats above the moon, or floats above Lunar 2. So, and from there we don't see Char until after that. Zeknova, thank you. I'm gonna keep forgetting it. So, regardless, the Zeknova happens, Char disappears, and then the second half of the episode moves to where the story is now in 0085, where what happens is Neon now is officially with Zeon in uniform and everything. She is enrolled in the military academy, so on and so forth, and they want her to pilot the new Gundam. She actually has dinner with Caecilia where she talks about exactly that. We are introduced to a new mobile suit called Fred. Yeah. The Gundam Fred. Chad, I need a favor from you. I want everyone to look at this image and go, "Hi, Fred!" And then wave hello. This is Fred. Fred is new. Fred would like to be welcomed here. So let's all be polite to Fred and say hi. Make sure that he feels welcome. Is it a new Gundam or the new Gundam? It is a new Gundam, as in a brand new Gundam. Yabba Dabba Doo. Oh, God. But yes, Fred here is our new Gundam. And effectively what goes on, or at this point, is that this is totally not Evangelion Unit 1, and is the brother unit to the GQuuuuuux. At this point, we meet one of Xavier's friends named Miguel. I don't know why I went southern all of a sudden, but who tries to make friends with Nian. That she talks about wanting to have a cake made for her because she's never really had a friend like that, which is kind of sad. They're really, really emphasizing that Neon's life fucking sucks. So the next thing that happens is, as they're driving about, there's a question of whether or not potential Gundam pilots are being assassinated, because they mentioned that two other friends that they had been killed. Well, later on, Miguel sends a text to Neon saying, "Hey, you want some cake?" So it brings over cake. It's like, wow, that was fast. And she smells the poison in it, I think. Or can just tell it's there, because new type. It could be either... Could be either or. Sorry, my phlegm started to come out of my throat. So obviously Miguel is an assassin. But he says that the reason that he has been killing people is not because he works for Giran or something. It's to prevent them from becoming a Diablo. Interesting. Which, for those who don't know, Diablo is Spanish for devil. El Diablo. It's like looking into the eyes of the Diablo. If someone knows what I just referenced, internet cookie points to you. But anyway, Miguel is the assassin. There is a struggle. He tries to kill Neon, but the Gundam reacts, and the Gundam has small funnels on its head. Now, keep in mind, the Gundam reacts and not only and kills Miguel, like literally just fucking vaporizes him, which was an awesome shot, honestly. It's like Tenacious D? No. It's not. That wasn't a Tenacious D reference. It's an anime reference. It's an anime that you guys, I'm hoping, have seen. But yeah, the Saikamu just reacts to her being there. It does not even react to her having even gotten into the Gundam itself. which is pretty wild. We have not seen this happen yet. So, and of course, this whole that actually kind of felt like an interesting parallel to Evangelion Unit 1, which of course, in the first episode of Evangelion, there's some stuff that like falls down inside the hangar, and the Evangelion unit, without even a pilot, reaches its hand over to block the debris from hitting Shinji. So good for Fred. He got the spy. Good for him. And then after that, we find out that Gihren indeed did have a spy close to Kycilia. It was her fucking butler. So she kills him, as expected. And then after that, we find out that Machu ends up escaping the Green Base. Or maybe she was let go. We will find out. And the next episode, preview, confirms that the Rose of Sharon is indeed Lala Soon. And she is still alive. At least from what we can tell. Yep, looks like she finally gets to go to Earth. It looks like that's where the next episode is going to end. Is on Earth. So the next episode will be us finding out exactly how Machu got to Earth. Whether or not they let her go, or whether or not she escaped. But the last we see of her in this episode, she is she's taking the Gundam through re-entry. So imagine Machu becoming a Titan. That would be wild. That would be absolutely wild. I'm curious as to what Earth is like after the war. So it'll be interesting. My feelings on the episode, personally, I feel like this show just got a lot more interesting. Like honestly, removing clan battle, smartest thing they could have done. Honestly, it had run its course. We saw all the fights we needed to see. We had development with the characters. We got to know who they are. Now, bam. Wow, both snaps worked. I can't snap my fingers very well, so completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, it had run its course, and they're like, all right, we're done with this. We're moving on. We're moving on. So also the GQuuuuuux had its beam sabers and rifle. Interesting. Yeah, it makes me wonder what they're doing with her, honestly. Another Gundam isn't surprising. I had a feeling we were going to see another one of them. But I'm curious why Kycilia specifically wants to force another Saikamu event. Like, why she wants another Zeknova to happen. That to me is really weird. Like, why would you want that? Like, what's the purpose of this? So, that's intriguing. And then finally, are the text messages that Lala, or that Machu is getting, that they show in the preview for the next episode, are they from Lala? Which, most likely, that's probably who it is. Or are they from someone else? What I wonder is if Lala has a companion. And I wonder if it's Amuro. Who knows? We might find out. My conclusion, though, the second half of this episode was dense in regards to like all the stuff that they went over. I'm curious about the effects that the Saikamu is having on people, if it's turning them into Diablo. I still don't find Nyan as interesting as Machu, but the episode did a really good job of establishing her as a stronger player, and I feel like they are doing a good job of giving her more development. Which, again, like I mentioned, like either last episode or 2 episodes ago, that was a worry of mine, is she wasn't going to get enough development, aside from just, I want to fuck the stoner. Saw a blonde man with blue eyes getting certain vibes, man. Yeah, I'm curious about who that dude is, too. And then are the texts that... oh, no, sorry. But yeah. Without the stoner around, I feel like Neon is going to have a lot more chance to shine. So. Now, one thing that people have mentioned is that we still don't know who Machu's father is. And I want to do a little theory crafting. I want to mention a possibility. And I'm kind of curious to get your guys' take on this. What if Machu is Haman Karn? What do you guys think? How old would Haman be at this point in time? She's 20 years old in Zeta. She would be about 17. She's 1 year too young. Maybe. It's going to depend on when her birthday is. That was a mean prediction on Facebook Mobile Suit posting. I know. That's what I'm curious about, though. If this is January 10th, 0067, so it's possible. It's very. I think it's a possibility. My original theory is Puru, or was Puru, but that's not really the case because she's too old. Yeah, and it's intended to be an altered timeline, so they don't have to be totally consistent in age for everybody. It could be like a year off. But Haman, her father was a diplomat. It would be interesting to see. Because there's the distinct possibility that he could have fled Xeon for Side 6. Or it could all be a cover-up. A lot of possibilities. Because another thing that has been pointed out is GQuuuuuux could be GQuuuuuux. Because remember, it's a placeholder name. What picture did you bring to this cursed land? There is no curse here. There's only Haman. So yeah, it's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Sorry. I had to do it. Oh, God. But yeah, obviously as a Haman stan, I would absolutely love it for it to be Haman. If it was Haman Karn, that would be fucking amazing. That would change. That would be so fucking cool. Like the protagonist of a new Gundam show is Haman. You know, like that would be so fucking wild. So yeah. Bad Micah go sit in the corner. Oh god. Sorry. I had to do it. I had to do it. Alright. So let's talk a little bit more about just stuff. Because I don't really have a whole lot to say more about GQuuuuuux. Let's talk about the video that went up today. Take a cold shower. Hold on. I am not horny posting, Mike. Come on. I want to actually state this right now. I have never horny posted about Haman. I have just stated that she's got a big butt. That's it. That's it. I don't even think that we included, like, some of the more horny, like, imagery of Haman in Office Lady Haman-sama, to be honest with you. Mostly because, like, that's not an ecchi, it's a comedy. So, it's not really, like, it doesn't have a whole lot of it. There's some, you know, but not a whole lot. It's actually mostly like a wholesome manga, to be honest with you. There's a lot of wholesome stuff in it. So what is the new mobile suit? That's Fred. Fred is new. He's new here. But he's going to try his best. But, yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about, with the whole Texas bill thing, I'm curious to see whether or not both guys that I called out in it are going to respond. I don't think that... I kind of want to rant about it a little bit, because the weird thing about it for me is I don't feel like I really got all of my emotions out about it. But what really pissed me off was just the lack of, like, fucking research. You know? Like, and not only just, like, the lack of research.
Fan of defending the government.
But, oh, sorry. But on top of that, like, how easy it is to actually look it up. Like, I'm too small for them to care. Possibly. That might be the case. One thing I would ask you guys to do is to share the video around. I don't usually ask for this. I'm asking to share it around on Reddit. If you want to throw it in Asmongold's subreddit, if you want to, again, I challenge people at the end of it, if you think I'm full of shit, send it to your favorite law tubers, have them analyze it, see if I'm full of shit. But share it around to subreddits and things like that and other Discord servers that you guys are in. Because the fact of the matter is like, the truth about it does need to get out. You know, because people don't deserve to live in fear. They shouldn't have to. You know, they shouldn't have the opinion that their government is trying to fucking destroy their hobby when their government is not indeed trying to destroy their hobby. You know, like that to me is a vile thing to do. Because I really hate conspiracy theorists. Like, honestly, conspiracy theorists were the bane of my existence when I covered politics. When I was like a political commentator. And I did op-ed for RT, which one of the biggest regrets of my life. I wish I had worked for somebody else. But regardless, like, I hated conspiracy theorists. I fucking hated them. because there was just a lot of fucking stupid shit that was said about, or like, that had, like, there was no evidence for it. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know? Just don't trust the wording in laws and politicians in general, but well, and here's the thing, Brandon, I'm with you on that. But did lizard people annoy you? Well, here's the thing. If you're somebody who happens to be of the tribe, which I am, just genetically, not like culturally and religiously, I'm as Jewish as a side of bacon, you know, or a rack of pork ribs, you know. But ethnically, I am, you know, because my birth mother is Jewish. The fact of the matter is that it's so easy to, or like you get a lot of annoying stuff about you because the conspiracy theorists assume you are a Jew, ergo you are controlling the world, and I can't trust a word you say. And it's like, what the fuck? It's like, really, dude? I'm just a guy. Like, there's not. Yes, there's a Jew hotline that's on our fucking speed dial on all of our cell phones. But we never come to a consensus on everything because we can't agree who's supposed to bring the bagels to the next big conspiracy meeting. On top of that, the last time that we brought bagels and lox to like the meeting about all of us who control the world, which is between us, the Jews, the Illuminati, and the lizard people down the hall. They're a little weird, but you know, once you get used to them, they're all right. But for some reason, they didn't like the bagels and lox because they didn't like the smoked salmon. But and I don't like capers, so you know, it is what it is. I fucking hate conspiracy theorists, but regardless. What always annoyed me is like how people would misframe law, or they would misframe the truth to push a narrative. And that to me is fucking vile. And I find it coming into my fucking hobbies. And it's like, alright, fuck you. You know, I'm one hell of a comedian. I don't really think I'm that funny. I just talk. But here's what annoyed the piss out of me. Do I agree there's a difference between anti-Semitic and anti-Judaic? I don't know if I would use the term anti-Judaic for people that, because here's the thing, it's like, Israel is the Jewish state. It is. You know, I feel like should not be a whole different discussion. It is the Jewish state, right? There's a right of return for all Jews to be able to come to Israel. I could actually pack up and go tomorrow if I wanted to. I don't. I prefer America. But if I wanted to, I could. What I will say is this. I think that there's nothing wrong with criticizing Israel's government. I don't see an issue with that. There are things that the IDF does that in the past that soldiers have done that are beyond the pale. Absolutely beyond the pale. There are war crimes that people in Israel have committed against other people around them. But on the flip side, there have also been war crimes that have been committed against the Israelis that have been completely fucking ignored. So it's a fucking mess. That's my stance on the whole thing. It's a fucking mess. And trying to act that it's anything but a mess, you know, is dishonest. And that's the farthest I'll go with it. I don't want to give too many unsolicited opinions on Israel because it's admittedly I don't live there, and I'm admittedly underinformed on it because it's not my priority. My priority is entertainment these days, and I prefer it that way. But anyway, so here's the bill. I got it pulled up real quick. So here's the thing about law. And this is something that I learned. I leaned on, because for those of you who don't know, I used to be friendly with Nick Rekieta, back before, you know, and the one thing that I learned from, because I also have friends that are lawyers, the one thing that I very much believe in regards to, or not believe, what I very much try to remember every time that I look at a law or look at a bill, is that nothing in the bill is meant to be taken outside of the context of the bill. So the one thing that we saw that was consistently done is they were reading this section of the bill right here, which is lines 13 to 20, and would talk about like one or two words in it that is what they considered to be either obtuse or not specific enough. There's just one problem. This bill, this paragraph here, this is not in a vacuum. Are we pretending that all of this is not here and this means nothing? Are we pretending that all of this down here means nothing? You know? Because basically what it does is, the beginning of this, it defines terms. Promote visual material. Has the meaning assigned by this. Has the meaning assigned by this. And then these actually come into Texas Penal Code, where they talk about the burden of proof for if you can actually charge someone with a crime. Because effectively what this is the thing, is how do I put this? You can't look at this and just say to yourself, okay, like this exists in a vacuum. You know, it doesn't. We have to look at what visual material means. We need to look up what the specific charges are. So in this, promotes obscene visual material containing a depiction that appears to be of a child younger than 18 years of age engaging in activities described by section 4321. So these go over the definitions, and then the last thing that has to be that I had to mention was obscenity, because effectively it has to pass an obscenity test. The Miller test is what it's called in federal government. It is basically the idea that you have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this does not have artistic merit. So you have to look at the definition of promote. You have to look at the definition of visual material. You have to look at it means by engaging in activities described by section 4321. And then of course you have to look at the definition of obscenity, because that is the subchapter that this all goes over. So imagine not going in depth on this. Like you're effectively cutting context out to try to create new context. Do you guys remember? Is there anybody in here who has played Metal Gear Solid 2 and like listened to everything? Because if not, what I'm about to say is going to be like kind of weird to you. You're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" There's a point at the end of that game where they talk about what they're not trying to do is alter content. What they're trying to do is create context. Basically what they're doing is they're completely reframing perception of reality to tell you that the context of an action is different than what it actually is. So that it is more comfortable. It is easier to process, quote unquote. What it really means is that they're controlling information to make sure that you believe what they want you to believe, as opposed to what being able to analyze as a human being with your own agency of what is actually there. This is a deceptive thing that a lot of people do in regards to exactly that. How would you define a child under 18 for a drawing? We'll get to that. Because it's actually what they are looking for is defined in the law, because this is why these definitions mean something, because it actually gives you an idea, because they reference the Texas Penal Code, of what the law is looking for. So in this particular case, they say sexual performance by a child. So in this section, sexual performance means any performance or part thereof that includes sexual conduct by a child younger than 18 years of age. This is very clear. This is like they are looking very specifically for a child underneath a certain age, meaning high school or younger. That's what they're looking for. Because, yeah, a lot of character in anime do look older, and that's the thing. You have to keep in mind, guys, like, this isn't one of those things, like, the way... How they are going to enforce this law is people that are in possession of the materials are the ones that they're going after. That is what they are mostly looking at. They are looking specifically for drawn child porn, AI generated or otherwise. They are not looking at anime in general. They are looking for something very specific here. And then, of course, what does promote mean? The definition's right here. Procure, manufacture, issue, sell, give, provide, lend, mail, deliver, transfer, transmit, publish, distribute, circulate, disseminate, present, exhibit, or advertise, or to offer to agree to do any of the above. So basically, if you are taking child pornography of someone under the age of 18 and you are sending it around, you are potentially in violation of this law. They are specifically looking for blatant sexual actions, because at the end of the day, obscenity is what they have to prove. So let me kind of give you an idea of like how the court case would go about. So what's going to happen? Let's say somebody gets arrested for this. Let's say they get arrested and they get charged with several crimes. They're arrested for maybe assaulting their girlfriend or something, and they find a stash of anime on their hard drive. And some of it is hentai, and some of it is, or actually, let's not do that. Let's not do hentai, because that one I think is a little bit more cut and dry. Because the fact is that some hentai websites are probably going to be banned in certain states. I think that's obvious. Because at the end of the day, there is a substantial amount of hentai that takes place with high schoolers under the age of 18, so can't do that. Because, again, like, in Japan, age of consent is complicated, and it varies from prefecture to prefecture. So, which admittedly is not that different than kind of age of consent in the U.S. The difference is like, I think the youngest age of consent in the United States is 17. Oddly enough, I think that's what it is in Texas. But regardless, but this law is about 18-year-olds, so it wouldn't surprise me if they change it. But regardless, let's say that they were to arrest them and then they tried to charge them under this law, but instead of, let's say they don't have porn, let's say they have Redo of Healer, or let's say they have Berserk, something like that. Well, and they specifically try to go to court over that, assuming that someone tries to pull a Jack Thompson also. What they have to do is they have to prove that the material is obscene, meaning that they have to prove to a court of peers of the person that is being charged with the crime, so to a jury, because this is a felony case, so a jury is going to be involved. They have to prove to the jury that there is no artistic value to that particular piece of media. That is very, very, very hard to do. It's very hard to do. In fact, the amount of material that has not passed that has been actually defined as obscene is very, 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 very small. That's because here's the thing, guys. Well, this is what a lot of people don't seem to understand, and I probably should have mentioned this in the video. Obscenity, like the Miller test, like You want to know who was the most notable person not being able to bring anything that passed the Miller test? Jack Thompson. He was never able to pass it. He could never bring anything that passed it, ever. That is why, by the way, a lot of this is like specifically defined in the Texas Penal Code. Effectively, what they are doing is they're making it really blatant exactly what they're looking for. They are looking specifically for child porn. That is what they were looking for. Could it be used for what we would consider mainstream hentai, more normal, things like that, of where it's of like older teenagers in high school and stuff like that? It is possible. Keep in mind, like there have been similar bans of like Pornhub and things like that we could see that for hentai sites in the state of Texas. But does this mean that there is going to be a ban of all anime? Which is, again, my point of contention with these particular content creators? No. Not even fucking close. And that's what fucking pisses me off, dude. That's a fucking lie. Because this is like, I feel like too many people get focused on effectively what is, what I call is like, I ask people constantly whenever it comes to like online discussion, is what does this have to do with the price of tea in China? Like what does this have to do with it? What does this have to do with anything? Because some people will try to like mention one particular thing and then think that they've destroyed the full fucking argument. It's like, you're not even arguing what we're talking about, dude. Like we're talking about baseball and then suddenly you're talking about Mike Ditka. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, so but yeah, like let me show you what my point of contention was, very specifically, because I feel like this is where the lie is, and this is why I get pissed off. This right here. This is what angers me. Anime ban law. Texas bill to ban all anime. That right there. This is a fucking lie. It is a fucking lie. That is not what is going on. Anime is not going to be banned if the governor, I forget his name, he's the dude in the wheelchair, Greg Abbott? Yeah, Greg Abbott. If Greg Abbott signs it, all anime will not be banned in Texas. That is fucking bullshit. And they know it's bullshit. They didn't even do the fucking research. And that's my problem. Because there's just way too many fucking people that do not, they trust you to give them information. You just fucking lied to them. So yeah, fuck both of them. Honestly. Fuck the people who defend him, too. How much you want to bet that Crunchyroll is still going to be working in Texas? They'll still have anime content? Just, oh yeah, there absolutely will be. The idea that there won't be is bullshit. Because here's the thing, dude. Do you know how easy it is to not violate this law? Don't draw children being sexualized. That's it. Just don't draw people fucking kids. Is it that hard? Is it that difficult? Is it really that difficult? I don't think it's that difficult. And somebody asked, did you miss the episode discussion? Yes, you did. We moved on to just kind of general talk. Which we'll do probably for like another hour or so. Internet is under what law? Under federal law, under or Texas laws, or is it unclear? So we're a federalistic society, so it's going to vary from state to state. In certain states, you can't access certain websites. Pornhub, I don't think you can access in the state of Texas now. So we might see something similar like that for hentai sites. Because that's the kicker. Is like the simple fact that because in Japan there is again the age of consent is lower. There's more pornography over there of people under the age of 18 in explicit sexual acts. That could end up being banned. But like normal, like ecchi, I don't see it. We went over this on the podcasts. If you guys want to listen to that, the link was in the description of that video, and then it'll be on YouTube tomorrow. The basic, because Hat Man comes back. For those of you who loved Micah and the Hat Man back in the day, Hat Man is back. We basically did an episode of Micah and the Hat Man, but also with Mike and Serena with us, which was really cool. Obviously, like Hat Man and I have a really good dynamic, so that was a lot of fun. But regardless, in Japan, the age of consent doesn't apply to drawings at all. Is that really true? Well, regardless, like the simple fact is that like whenever you're trying to export those specific things to the U.S., obviously you are at that point under the auspices of that nation and its laws. So that is where that's going to there's a cultural difference. So in one culture, 16-year-olds getting railed is fine. In another culture, 16-year-olds getting railed is not fine. You can't sell that shit here, or at least not in Texas. So, but yeah, like let's say something like Berserk or Redo of Healer or something along those lines. Never knew that Pornhub is banned in Texas. I'm pretty sure it is. I could be wrong. Because I remember like a bunch of states like cut access to Texas over like a age restriction law. But yeah, Pornhub does deserve worse. It's a vile company. But regardless, there is a believe it or not, like funnily enough, because for those who don't know, when I wrote for RT, I was one of the first journalists to break the story of the Pornhub protests that were going on at the time at the beginning of the pandemic. Wonder if Big Mouth is banned in Texas? Probably not. And I was actually getting to that, Leo. This is where obscenity comes in. This is where the discussion of obscenity comes in. So obscenity has to be proven. You have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that wasn't Pornhub ran by a Jew? No. They received funding. There was a business partner that was from Israel. It was run by an Indian guy and a Muslim guy, if I remember right. I'd have to go look it up, but that's yeah. There's a big conspiracy theory that like the state of Israel is behind Palestine because one Jewish guy from one country helped fund it. Hold on one second. Because the guys who founded it now are the guys who own Polygon. But yeah, it was founded by Matt Keiser and who was the other guy? I forget his name. But yeah, they but yeah, it's not owned by the state of Israel or some bullshit. That's a lie. It's a lie you could figure out with Google. You could ask Grok and get the proper answer on that. So, will I review Turn A? At some point. But yeah, so we get into obscenity, the proof of obscenity. So let me pull up the Miller test, like specifically what that means, because it's the federal, also known as the 3-pronged obscenity test. This is what you have to effectively get past to prove that something doesn't have any artistic merit. So in this particular case, so prurient interest. The material taken as a whole must appeal to the average person's prurient interest, meaning it excites and lavish interest in sex. This is judged by contemporary community standards, which can vary from place to place. Again, it's a federalist country. One particular, the laws are based upon the culture of the region, not necessarily meant to be, the country as a whole. Patently offensive. The work must depict or describe sexual content or excretory functions in a patently offensive way. Patently offensive means something that is clearly and explicitly indecent or shocking. This is also judged by contemporary community standards. And then lack of value. This is the tricky part. Because the first two aren't hard to get past. The material taken as a whole must lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. This prong considers this work to be more national or universal perspective rather than just community standards. And all of this is the case you have to make in front of a jury. So in this particular case, and keep in mind, this has been used since 1973. So this has been, working for a while. And again, Jack Thompson could not get past it. So do people on the internet think their weak ass arguments are gonna actually hold court? Shut the fuck up. Fuck off. Fuck off with that bullshit. So let's actually run a few through this, right? Or let's use Berserk as an example. So, prurient interest. The material taken as a whole must appeal to the average person's prurient interest, meaning it excites and creates a lavish interest in sex. Does Berserk do that? No. Let's say I was called into court as an anime expert, right? And they asked me, have you, so let's say that Micah takes the stand. So I'm sitting there, I'm on the stand, right? I'm not wearing this, obviously. I'd be wearing my suit. But I'm on the stand, and they ask, Mr. Curtis, can you give me the context of this image? And they show the image of Casca getting raped in Berserk. I would say, and let's say that this is in Texas. I'd say, that is a character that is in her 20s, first and foremost. So that would effectively, kind of kill the prosecution's argument, in my opinion. But I would say that is a woman in her 20s that is being sexually assaulted by a monster. And what is the greater context of this? Well, he has been converted into a demon, and this particular scene, which is portrayed as horrifying to all people involved, including the character who was mentally affected after this for years upon end, in fact, still is in the publication to this very day. She is horrifically sexually assaulted by this person, hurt very badly by him, all while her lover is effectively pinned down after his arm has been cut off and his eye gets gouged out. And then if they ask for more context, basically they're all being sacrificed to create a new god, to create a new demon god. And that's the context I would give. In my opinion, and again, people can take clips of this to their favorite LawTuber and see if I'm full of shit. But that gets rid of prurient interest. It doesn't even pass the first part of the sniff test. The trickier part. Have I watched? I hate to do this, Azope. Did you see the video I did about anime essays? I don't watch them. I don't. I've watched a few, here and there, and I did not like them. Oddly enough, though, there was a dude who did a better video than I did about why video essays suck. I'll play that here in a second. But I'm not trying to make a dick. I'm just saying, I don't watch them. But yeah, another one that wouldn't pass the sniff test is Ninja Scroll. Ninja Scroll had a rape scene in it. It was obviously meant to be horrifying. It's very loveless. You know, it doesn't present rape as a fetish. It presents rape, as an evil crime. So, that doesn't pass the civ test either. I'm of the opinion that redo of Healer would be tougher, because the prosecution could argue that the scenes in redo of Healer, which I have seen one of, is not filmed in a way or presented in a way to horrify the audience. It seems like it's presented in a way to titillate. That redo of Healer would be tougher to argue against. But it could still potentially pass the Miller test. Is it fucked up? Is it dark? Is it schlocky and terrible? Yes. But it does have a greater plot, and the actions that are in it are driven by the motivations of the character. It's not just done specifically for sexual pleasure, though there might be some behind it. I would be intrigued to be, I would love to be a fly on the wall for that particular case. Yeah, it's up to interpretation. It's going to be up to the jury at that point. You know, you got to make a strong argument one way or the other. And by the way, this is one thing that you have to keep in mind, is that in cases like this, experts will be called in. You know. And by the way, I volunteer. I'll go. Pay for my flight. I'll go. Pay for the flight and hotel. I'll testify. Absolutely. You take care of me, I'll take care of you. Because here's the thing. I am not of the opinion that something like Redo of Healer should be banned. I'm not of the opinion that something like Berserk will be banned. And I will fight, and I will do what I can, you know, to discuss this. I can testify in court over it. Keep in mind, I was a journalist. Technically speaking, I still am. You could consider me an independent journalist if you wanted to. I always tell people I'm for hire. Because here's the other thing, is that if there is a larger plot to something, it's not gonna pass the Miller test. Hatman talks about it, like a lot of ecchi that are out there have a larger plot to give proper context to the situations, and the situations themselves aren't always purely to titillate. Sometimes they're comedic. You know, is it raunchy comedy? Absolutely, but so is Animal House. You know, and again, the Texas Penal Code is specifically looking for sexual acts, as in like blatant sexual acts. Like it's actually defined like what specifically they're looking for. I'll show you guys real quick. I mentioned in the video, but I'll show you again. Let me pull up the Texas Penal Code for. Because they're looking for sexual performance. So this is section 4325. So that's a big wall of text. I'm sorry, I can't really. I'll give it a green background so it's a little bit easier to, because there's no night mode for this. So this is the definition. Sexual performance means any performance or part thereof that includes sexual conduct by a child younger than 18 years of age. Sexual conduct has to be defined as well, which they define as sexual contact, actual or simulated sexual intercourse, deviant sexual intercourse, sexual bestiality, masturbation, sadomasochistic abuse, lewd exhibition of the genitals, the anus, or any portion of the female breast below the top of the areola. So cleavage does not count. Performance means any play, motion picture, photograph, dance, or other visual representation that can be exhibited before an audience of one or more persons. And then it goes on from there. Like, all of this is very strictly defined. There's not really any, like the penal code tells you what they are looking for. You know? Are anime essay are reviews or not? Zodiac Star, I didn't even see the question, dude. You gotta give me a little bit of grace here, buddy. Jesus. Jumping down my throat. Don't jump down my throat. The only thing I want going down my throat right now is this cherry Coke. Jesus. Calm down, buddy. It's going to be okay. Are anime essays reviews? No, I consider them two different things. I think a review is specifically telling you about whether or not a product is good. An anime essay is more about an emphasis on, or a video essay is more of an emphasis on a specific topic and how it relates to a piece of media, or an element of piece of media and how it relates to a greater whole. For example, this cola is a 4.5 out of 5. That is a review. The necessity of smoothness in soft drinks is something that we should all consider, and Cherry Coke is a prime example. That's an essay. Does that make sense, Zodiac? Are you not mad at me anymore? Would Cross Ange get banned? I don't think that it would pass the Miller test. No, I don't think it would. So no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be as raunchy and trashy as Cross Ange is. It has a plot. You know, it has a plot. It has a greater story. The story is not about sex. The story is about a lady who gets thrown onto the island of angry lesbians, and has to fight dragons. That's the main plot. You know, it's about the fight with the dragons and then embryo. It's not necessarily about the sex. The sex is there because Mitsuo Fukuda's a fucking pervert. This was delicious. God, I fucking love Cherry Coke, man. It's a one Coca-Cola product. That and vanilla Coke are my favorite Coke products. Can we agree Gundam Seed should be banned? Yes, for the good of all. For the good of all. If I am elected president, we will ban Gundam Seed, just on principle. I will go to China and stand in front of the statue of the freedom and Gundam and go, Mr. Winnie the Pooh, tear down this robot. Oh, God. Do I know that some hardcore hentai have a good plot? I will tell you this right now. I have had my horny phases. I have watched hentai. You know, I'm not gonna lie about it. You know, I am a... Would Haman Karn be classified as trans? No. And if someone says the opposite, they're very wrong. No, she was born a woman. She stays a woman throughout the whole thing. That's fucking stupid. You know, if somebody has actually argued that, they're an idiot. They are a fucking idiot. But anyway, Fukuda probably has an NTR finish. It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. But yeah, on the hentai thing, yeah, there are some with stories. I've seen Mezzoforte. I've seen Kite. You know. I had my horny phase when I was younger. I was I'm not gonna get too into detail, but I was insatiable when I was in my 20s. No, Chelsea. The beach episodes are not going to get banned. Calm down. It's going to be okay. Again, they're very specific about sexual actions, Chelsea. If you want to rewind, I go over it. Would Gaunts be banned? Nope, because Gaunts is not purely about sex. Again, like this is immediately what they're looking for in the law, is things that are specifically about sex. Like, the purpose of it is to titillate. Specifically to titillate and using an underage character. No offense, man, we really didn't need don't need those details. I didn't go that far into it. Goodness gracious. I could go further. I could go very detailed and get, like, I'm being merciful, motherfucker. I'm just saying I had my horny phase. Everybody in their life is going to have it at one point or another. It's just part of growing up and being a guy, you know? Columbia, for another $20, says, Louis Laveau says that the Miller test is too subjective. Drawing should not be governments confirm outside public decency. Yes, I know that puts me in the extreme, but I'm also an objectivist. We talking about Louis Laveau the philosopher or Louis Laveau the YouTube guy? Because I would disagree. I would agree that in some case, like, the first 2 points of the Miller test are very vague. But the third part is not. It's a lot more specific. Having to prove that it has no artistic value is very difficult in a courtroom. Because it has to go past the jury. You have to get past a sniff test of 12 people. And it's very rare that cases like this go federal. You know? Yeah, the YouTuber. I know Louis. Or know of him. I don't, I never met him. I know Carl. I know Sargon. I've known Sargon for a long time. I have ties in the skeptic community. Or what used to be the skeptic community. I know some people over there. I asked to start without irony. Would Arrow Guro be banned? It's grotesquely surreal yet very sexual. There are plots, creative character designs, and none of it is titillating. I don't know. That one's not something that I would be able to say one way or the other. That's another one of those where I would have to be. I'd be interested to be the fly on the wall. I'm not going to say one way or another. I don't have an opinion. You've never heard the word objectivist? It's a political philosophy, Chels. If you're not into politics, I wouldn't even worry about it. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, it's very hard to get past it. It's incredibly hard. And again, like, for like, my perspective on this has always been just, it's simple. Don't sexualize children. That's it. Don't sexualize kids. You know, that's fucked up. Do not do that. You know, you want to sexualize adults, that's different. Because we're adults. We can consent to these things. But don't sexualize kids. That's just wrong. Wrong. Fucked up. Goodness gracious. Well, what do you guys think? What else should we talk about? Because I kind of feel like we've gone through just about everything that there is to go through in it. We can just shoot the shit for about another half hour or so. A lot of the skeptics have become either grifters or Machiavellian. Carl, especially now with the stuff he's said, your path has been way better. Well, thank you, Columbia. And yeah, some things that that Carl has said, I vehemently disagree with. Might have more short stacks. Yeah, I imagine some people would be happy about that. I'll be honest, like, I have dated a lot of women. I kind of prefer someone that's closer to my own height,
which is very difficult because I'm over 6 feet tall. But like, I dated a girl who was like 5'9", and that was like the sweet spot for me, you know. Servant throws in $15 and 1 cent. Says, shared the video in another server. Someone said they didn't want to watch it because doesn't watch YouTubers that crap on other YouTubers, assuming about you. Still odd that people do that. Well, here's the thing, dude. It's not like I did it without purpose, you know. So that's what I would say. It's not like the guys didn't have it coming, you know. Like they lied about it. The fuck do you expect me to do? Like just kind of that's a weird thing. But I mean, it's their standards. It is what it is. I think they're being a little silly in that particular regard because, look, the fact of the matter is that as time is going on, there are a lot of people, again, like I said this in the video, but I'll reiterate it here. There's a lot of people who trust YouTubers and trust their ability to report on the news and to discuss the news and so on and so forth. That's effectively what the whole commentary community is built on, right? Not that I'm part of that, but at least I don't consider myself part of any community except for the one that I built for myself. This community is the only one I give a shit about, you know. It's my focus is to make sure that it's still awesome and you guys are having fun. But as I was saying, the big thing about it is that you know, if there's this line from Mass Effect 2, you have one job, information. If I can't trust you to do that, you're useless to me. I think about that a lot. It's one of the most poignant lines in the entirety of Mass Effect, because it effectively is a really good indication of the relationship between Shepard and the Elusive Man in Mass Effect 2, right? But it's also applicable, in my opinion, outside of the medium to people who just give information in general. If information is your job, it has to be accurate, it has to be vetted, it needs to be considered, you need to be smart about it. I don't think that's asking that much. Do you believe that the age of atheism is dying for how Reddit killed it? I think the day of the militant atheist is gone. I think it's over. I think the age of the milady is over. I think that those days are done. The days of the amazing atheist being like one of the top voices on the internet is over. And I think it's better for it because the fact of the matter is that I'm not of the opinion that, because there were some atheists that, in my opinion, made good points about how the government treats religion, and I completely agree that, you know, the government should remain a secular institution, but, you know, I felt like a lot of their criticisms of of Christianity or other religions in regards to their validity was basically me no like religion, me caveman. So, did you know that Tau have psychic dragons the size of Imperial Knights and have never been shown? Is that really in a book somewhere? Because they don't have any presence in the warp. How could they have psychic dragons? Or they have their presence in the warp is like very, very small. The problem that the Tau are running into is that the greater good is starting to become a chaos entity because of the fact that they have recruited so many worlds that are full of people that do have a presence in the warp. Because GW doesn't know how to write Xeno. Here's the thing, Zodiac. People who are fans of Xenos in 40K are very much they're called Domati. I'll have to look into it. But the thing about what you kind of have to understand is that Xenos are not popular in regards to 40K. Like, they have their fans, and their fans are very loud, and their fans will largely make good arguments as to why they like them, you know? Though, admittedly, I've seen some people say about the Tau, I just want to win on the tabletop, which, I mean, The Tau have a detachment that increases the range of their weapons by 6 inches. So, like, they can just plink away at you at range. And admittedly, it's a strategy that I use with certain Ultramarines detachments. So. But yeah, they're just not popular. Like, Space Marines are the big thing. So, that's admittedly who's going to get the most focus about it. There's going to be interesting stuff, like there will eventually be a Tau book or an Eldar book, stuff like that, and then something interesting will happen in it, and then it's not going to get touched on again because nobody read it. Because nobody fucking cares. You know, people are... Well, let's be honest. Like, people are more interested in Titus. They're more interested in fucking Tushan. They're more interested in Vulcan Histan. They're more interested in Dante. They're more interested... Like, go down the list of named Space Marines. Like, people are more interested in those guys. Or even just people in the Imperium like Caiaphas Cain. Like, people are more interested in those guys than they are the Xenos. It's just the way it is. Bankers don't work Elson noises. I know, right? He's actually from Illinois too, I think. I know he's a Bears fan. Anyway, Badzilla wanted to ask, after Kirsch's section on you, some guys started making claims and talking shit on you. It's not important. I know you don't know about it. But I just wanted to say that what was up with that. Who was the guy? Do you remember his username? Because according to Brain, there's a couple of dudes that before the pandemic, I remember banning from chats on Micah and the Hat Man because they were being psychos to other people in the chat. And they've had a grudge against me ever since. There was 3 of them, but one of them apologized. The one who apologized is a guy named Koopa, who my interactions with him since he apologized have actually been pretty nice. He's been nice to me, at least. I don't know about his activities on the internet. But yeah, I'm curious who that was, because I might be able to tell you, like, the lore. How do you define 18 plus or less for a drawing? I don't see a clear method. Well, each character is going to have an age attached to it. So in a courtroom case, let's say that you're there, and they say, like, let's use Uzaki-chan as an example. You're gonna go, that's a college. You know, you can actually prove that it's a college student. You know, you have actual proof that it's a college student. You know. There's also other supplementary materials, things along those lines. Have I ever read Demon Lord Dante? I need to. I definitely need to. If written by a man's terrible making lore's latest book doesn't even have the mech on the cover show up. That's wild. Who do I think should be the face of the Ultramarines? That isn't Kato. For me, it's Titus. It's Titus for just about everybody at this point. Given how popular the Space Marine games are, Titus is now the face of the Ultramarines. And it's good because he's the best. He's like the most enjoyable character of all of them. And I say that as somebody who likes Calgar. You know, and I like Uriel Ventress a lot too. Uriel Ventress is pretty dope. The problem is with Kato. Kato ruined a lot of people in the Ultramarines because he's just such a fucking prick. You know, and a lot of that was Matt Ward's writing. Matt Ward is like super fucking edgy boy in regards to how he writes Warhammer, and he always wrote Kato like a fucking prick, as like the most unlikable guy. And you would just be reading these books with Kato in them over and over again, and he just would not shut the fuck up. He and Gabriel Seth are probably my 2 least favorite Space Marines in the entire setting. Outside of the Marines Malevolent or the Iron Hands. You know, like both of them suck. Kato is a prick, and Gabriel Seth will not shut the fuck up. Gabriel Seth called the Lamenters cowards. Because they wear yellow. Bruh. The Lamenters are a lot of things. Unlucky. Overly kind in some cases. Little too willing to throw themselves on a grenade, possibly. Cowards? No. Not in a million fucking years. If I were doing a review of JoJo Part 6 Stone Ocean, at some point I'm actually going to go through the entirety of JoJo, yeah. I have to be in the mood for it, though. Like, JoJo is very goofy. So. I also plan on doing a video called The One Time that Time That Satoshi Kon Made a JoJo Anime. Who knows about that one? Because, yeah, the guy who did Paprika and Perfect Blue did JoJo for a bit. And in my opinion, he does the final part of Stardust Crusaders better than anybody. Like, honestly, like, it's like way better than the actual anime. Because it's like, he portrays Dio as like a vicious bastard. And the portrayal of it isn't nearly as goofy as they kind of make it in the Stardust Crusaders anime. Not that Stardust Crusaders isn't entertaining, it's incredibly entertaining, but the Satoshi Kon one I like a lot more. Problem is the author decides, and what could be a problem in two ways. One, it could make a child-looking character be 18 plus, and a character that looks 18 plus would not have fan art by fan. Well, that's the thing. It's gonna have to be in a court of law. Like, you have to convince the jury. At the end, it's not like, you gotta keep in mind, dude. The process is not, in the U.S. is not, you have this, ergo you go to jail. You have this, then you get a trial, and then in the trial, you're going to have your own defense to prove whether or not this is true. So yeah, like, it's got to pass a lot of layers before somebody's going to get thrown in jail for a drawing of a lolly. How long would Cross-An's review be locked behind the paywall? Until Friday. Usually videos will get done on a Tuesday, they'll come out on a Friday. So, become a member. Oh, I need to put that on Patreon, don't I? I will do that after the stream's over. That's my bad. I think you and Heretical Hatter would be great friends. I have no clue who that is. But admittedly, I'm not, at the moment, not trying to make friends. I hate to say that. Not that I'd be against talking to him. It's just, I like my social group to be small, Like, I'm cool with Almighty Lolly. He and I have known each other for years. And I've got my little circle of buddies. Yeah, I feel like we're good like with that. And then there's people outside of the circle that I have positive relations with, in various different places. My whole thing is that, like, there was a point in time where my reputation online got tarnished by some things that happened. Admittedly, my own damn fault. I feel like I've rebuilt a lot of my reputation, so I feel I'm just trying to make sure that it's more positive than it used to be. What are your thoughts on the Imperial Fists? It's your favorite chapter, and also Roll Adornable Dorn. The Imperial Fists are fiercely reliable. I think that's what I like about them. They are fiercely reliable. You need a job done, and there's an Imperial Fist there. He'll get it done. It's what they do, I like Rogel Dorn as a Primarch. Rogel Dorn is one of those dudes that is... Have any of you guys ever gone, like, you have a friend where their dad is very quiet and kind of like he comes home, reads the newspaper after a hard day at work, and he asks the basic questions of, "Hello, son. How was your day? Are you doing okay in school? Are you feeling all right? Is there anything that you need from me? No? All right." Goes back to his newspaper. That's Rogel Dorn. Pretty much. He goes to work. He's an engineer. He's a soldier. You know, he comes home. He's dad. That's about it. Have a good night, Azope. But Rogel Dorn, comes home. Like that's kind of him as a character. He's not, like, striking up a conversation with him would be very difficult because he's just not a talker. You know, he's a very results-based, work-based guy. He's very Rogel Dorn is the blue-collar Primarch. That is the best way to describe him. He's a very blue-collar guy. But yeah, he's an engineer. He's a soldier. That's kind of his whole gimmick. That's what he is. That's what he does. And but at the same time, he's very capable of being a dad. Like there's this one instance where there was a duel between an Imperial Fist and a there was an argument between the Lion and Dorn on something. So they're like, all right, to settle this, we will have our sons duel it out. We'll have one son, and it'll be a melee duel. Nobody kills each other, but whoever wins means that they won the argument. So they do exactly that, and the Imperial Fist loses. And what Dorn does is he goes over to him and he says, "Okay, you know, hey, you could have done that better. You didn't win. I don't hold it against you. Losses happen. Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you could do to improve for next time." That, to me, is like Rogel Dorn in a nutshell. Like, he is objectively a good father to his men. Like, by all, like, if you had a military commander and you told them about Rogel Dorn and kind of the way he acts, you're like, yeah, he's a general, you know, and he's a good one. You know, he is a military man. That is effectively what it is. When people compare him to a U.S. Marine, I think it's I think Bricky is the one who actually said that, like, they're kind of like the Marine Corps. That is effectively what the Imperial Fist, like, how I look at them. You know, they have that attitude. Because I have friends that are Marines. You know, there are also people in the community that are Marines, and I still call them Marines even though they're not, you know, in active service, because you're always a Marine. It never leaves you. I understand that. I mean, granted, it's also true of just about anybody who served, you know, of just about. Like, my dad is that way, too. Like, my dad is still very much an Army man. If the situation ever called for it, my dad would be there in an instant if he was needed, even though he's old. He's in his 60s. You know, it's just the man he is. But regardless, on Rogel Dorn, like, as a Primarch, like, he's a great leader. He really is. He's one of the best, and blunt to the point, good father to his men. One of the better Primarchs. If you said, Micah, I need you to go to war, and I need you to select 5 Primarchs to lead your forces, I would say Guilliman, Dorn, Vulcan, and then after that, the Lion, and Corvus. Have a good night, Demon. Yeah, I would pick Corvus. Much as I love Leman Russ, I like, if you'll notice, like, the guys I picked are all very strategic. You know, are known for strategy. So, you know, they would be the best picks. Unless it was a situation where I knew there was going to be a lot of civilians, in which case I would switch out the Lion for Russ. Russ would be a lot more. If I told Leman Russ, let's say I was the Emperor, it's like, look, I need the Space Wolves to aid the Salamanders in pressing the line forward while they evacuate people. Russ would, the first thing he'd do, grab his spear, stand up, and go, it'll be done. And with gusto. Then he'd take a swig of beer and then head out and do it. Sanguinius, you forgot? I wouldn't use Sanguinius. Sanguinius is amazing, don't get me wrong. But I'm of the opinion that he's not necessarily, like, the best. Like, I wouldn't put him above Vulcan, because with the Salamanders, like, that's the forging, that's the building part of it. Him and Dorn would be fantastic to have together as it. Liquid Operator for $19.99. Thank you, buddy. He says, do you think Warhammer 40k will become better or worse if it becomes more mainstream? Also, what's your favorite mobile suit? Favorite mobile suit is Wing Zero. Specifically the, well, just both versions of it. As for 40k, I don't think it's going to become worse at all. I think it's going to pretty much stay what it is. I just think they're going to be more selective about what I would call, like, the more mainstream stuff and the more niche stuff. There's going to be, like, niche Warhammer, and there's going to be, like, mainstream Warhammer. A lot of, like, what I would call mainstream Warhammer stuff that you're going to see is going to be, like, Space Marines fighting Tyranids, Space Marines fighting Orcs. That's going to be, like, the big things. And then Chaos Demons. Because those are easy targets, right? The stories that get more complicated and become a little bit more niche, like if you're trying to do like a Game of Thrones style story or something like that, you're going to start involving the Eldar, the Drukhari, the Tau, things along those lines. That's my thought. But yeah, speaking of Wing Zero, I don't often break him out, but we will make an exception today. How's that sound? Because I gotta stand up for a second anyway. Ah, fuck. Ah. I fidget too much in my chair. I'll just put it that way. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Sit my fat ass down. There she is. I took my time with this one. All metallic paints. Very proud, very, very proud of how this one came out. It just looks fucking gorgeous. See why it's my favorite Gundam? Yeah, it's so fucking cool, dude. Such a great design. It and the Epion give off like incredible final boss vibes, you know? Did you know Sid Mead helped out with the design of the Tournay? Oh yeah. Absolutely. I've known that for a long time. Yeah, the way that it came about is Tomino is a big fan of Blade Runner. So when he heard that Sid Mead was like available to do it, like, he called him. He's like, "Yeah, we gotta work with this guy." So, and it was a smart move. Is it annoying when people say Tau can't be grimdark? When in reality, there's at least one book that does. Here's the thing about the Tau. One thing that I've noticed as time has gone on is they're kind of treating Tau society as being, by its nature, very Orwellian. You could very easily do some really grimdark shit with it. Absolutely. And then, of course, there's Farsight, because I think that, like, even people that hate Tau, myself included, really like Farsight. Farsight is just a good character. He's really well written. He's not like fucking Shadow Sun, where Shadow Sun is just like OC don't steal. You know, like Farsight is actually a character. Like he's actually got some depth to him. You know, there's something very unique about his commanding style. The way that I look at Farsight is someone that if he was born a human, he would be a space marine. Honestly. If he was born a human, he would be a space marine. Do I hate the Tau because the fans are just the Tau themselves? It's more the Tau themselves, honestly. I don't like the way that they're presented. More often than not, they are just kind of really annoying. But again, but I do like the Farsight Enclave. It's just they're space commie weeb fish. And they are written like space commie weeb fish. I will admit, the book, I don't remember what it is. It's not Damnos. It's one of the Matt Ward books where Kato crushes the chest of a fucking Tau woman. Which, by the way, when he says that Gilliman would be proud of him for doing it, Gilliman would not. Gilliman would actually reprimand him for doing that. But yeah. It's just one of those things, like, the Tau are just very hoity-toity to a lot of people. And I can understand why they don't like them. Which Primarch do you believe is the worst father? Oh, God. The worst father. Let's pull up the list. By the way, guys, we are $10 and a penny away from me having to review Frerin. And if we make it, I will watch it tonight. I'll start in on it. What's my opinion on the Adeptus Mechanicus? They can be horrifying and also hilarious, which is really weird. Their designs don't mesh well with the Grimdark Gothic. I don't really mind it so much. I just don't feel like some of their suits have an identity of their own. I feel like what was the one that I gave a really high rating to? It was the Ghost Keel, right? The Ghost Keel battle suit is fucking awesome looking. Like this right here. This is legit. Like, this is legit. This is a great design. Because the Tau are supposed to be a bit more advanced in regards to their mech designs, right? So this looks really good. It's still got a shit ton of weaponry. It still looks like it's very mobile. And the head design is great. Thank you for the $9.99, boss. We are 2 pennies away. But yeah, the Ghost Keel is just fucking ridiculously good looking. If Tau Mechanics had this face and this similar backpack design on a bunch more stuff, which some do, but this specific head design, I would actually like their mechs a lot more. Because whether people want to admit it or not, like the head design of a mech is a lot. So, but yeah, 40k Primarchs. Who is the worst dad? There's boss with the last buck. All right, I will start watching Farron tonight. Let me see if I can find a listing of all of them. A good image of them. Here we go. No worries, Warpath. You go touch those trees and get those plants watered, buddy. Okay, so here's the thing of the Primarchs, right? So starting from the left, so of like the bad dads here, because here's the loyalists, here's the traitors. The bad fathers, there's not that many that I would say are obtusely bad. In fact, like, some of them are better than you would think. For example, I don't know why Fulgrim is yellow. Fulgrim was actually really good to his men. Alpharius and Omegon were, like, barely ever there, so I can't really say one way or another with them. I wouldn't call them that great. Wouldn't call them that bad either. They're kind of middle of the road. Might have found an actual better image. Because I love the art style on this one. There we go. So we'll go from the top, because this goes by order of Legion. So we have the Lion. The Lion was a pretty shitty father, in all honesty. Hold on a second. Do I have a napkin or something? I have to pick my nose. I'm sorry. There's, like, something lodged in there. The Lion was not a good father at all. Like, the whole thing that happened with part of his Legion turning to chaos was on him. The Fallen, that is his fault. And nowadays he will admit as such. He very much regrets it. Fulgrim was a good father. Perturabo was pretty terrible. The Khan is great with his men. Lehman is great with his men. Dorn is great with his men. Conrad Kurz is really bad. He fucking hates his Legion. Fucking can't stand him. Sanguinius is amazing with his sons. The Headless Horseman over here. Ferrus Manus, not really that great, but not terrible. He's kind of middle of the road. He could be been a lot worse, but he could have been a lot better too. The Emperor, I would argue, is a bad father because he has his favorites, and that's the problem. He absolutely has his favorites, because, like, a lot of his favorites ended up like, the only one of his favorites that turned to chaos are Horus and Magnus. The rest of them are wholly the Emperor's fault. You can't blame the Emperor for Magnus, and you just can't. It's not his fault. That's on Horus. Horus is the reason that Magnus turned to chaos. If the proper message for Lehman to just bring Magnus to the Emperor had gotten through, I'm of the opinion that when chaos came around, I think that the Emperor would have helped Magnus resist Siege, and have helped him to figure out a way past the flesh change. And then I think that what would have ended up happening is the Thousand Sons would have turned into what the Grey Knights are now. Do we need to talk about Vulcan? I'm not going to go into too much detail. I've said enough about Vulcan as it is. You all know he's my favorite Primarch. I don't really need to go over him again. You know, he's amazing with his kids. He is the best father of all of them. I would say Angron and Perturabo are like the two worst, with Angron being the worst. Well, no, actually, no, scratch that. Angron, Kurz, and Perturabo are the worst, and Angron is legitimately the worst, because the problem with Perturabo is he was too callous, but he could have turned it around, because Perturabo as a person had a part of him that could be very empathetic if he allowed himself to be, but he just hardened himself to the world, and it ended up deadening himself to everything. So he's sort of a victim of his own consequences, I suppose. Angron, like, legitimately did things to just absolutely harm his own men. He's a piece of shit. Conrad Kurz is also a piece of shit, but at least Kurz understood the utility of his men. You know. As for the best fathers of this group, obviously Vulcan. Vulcan is the best. Um, before he turned, Horus was really good with his men. But he was also, I know this term gets overused. I would definitely call Horus a fascist. I absolutely would. I do think he had a fascist ideology. Because he actually used the Raven Guard before they found Corvus. He used them as his Gestapo. Like, Horus was not a good person. But anyway, yeah. Corvus is very good with his men. Vulcan's obviously the best with his men. Magnus was also very caring of his men. Believe it or not, so was Mortarion. Mortarion, like, the reason he turned to Nurgle was to stop the suffering of his men. I feel bad for Mortarion. I legitimately do. And I think that there's part of the Emperor, given how Plague War and the things the Emperor says to him, I think there is a part of the Emperor that regrets the way he treated Mortarion. I very much believe that. I think that with the Emperor, he has a utilitarian view of some of his sons, but I think some of his sons he actually genuinely cares about. Obviously, Vulcan's his favorite. He flat out says it. So. But yeah, other good dads, like Sanguinius is amazing as a father. He and Vulcan, I would say. Him, Vulcan, and Corvus, I think. Okay. Him, Vulcan, Corvus, Guilliman. All the loyalists that aren't fucking Lion were really good with their sons. You know, and now the Lion is, as he's grown up, as he got older. Now, in like current Lion is amazing with his sons. The Lion as he is now is sentimental. Like, he misses Lehman Russ. He wants to punch him in the face, but he legitimately misses him. It's actually kind of hard. It's the Lion now is like a grandfather. So, somebody says, someone who's never delved into 40K, do you have any recommendations somewhere I could start reading to get a feel for the setting? Basically, a proper entry point. The Space Marine video games are the best entry point for 40K, in my opinion, for a video game. For a book, for a book, I would read Red Tithe, which is the Carcharodons. It's about them by Graham McNeil, I think. Wait, no. Who wrote Red Tithe? I'm going to put some badass loyalist art on screen real quick. Robbie McNiven wrote Red Tithe. I would read that to kind of see whether or not that kind of floats your boat. Yeah, and then for for kind of an introduction of whether you're going to like it or not, watch the Secret Level episode on Amazon called They Shall Know No Fear. That to me is like fucking incredible. Angren would have been the most loyal to the Emperor if he didn't leave his found family to die. Oh yeah, I agree completely, Zodiac. I think that if the Emperor said, "Oh, you want these guys dead?" Okay, pulls out sword, and they just killed them real quick. Because here's the thing: Angron and the Emperor could have done it by themselves, easily. They could have done it at that point. It was very doable for them, and he had the whole fucking legion there. The Emperor just did it because the Emperor was being a dick. You know. But yeah, those would be my suggestions. But yeah, this is some really dope ass art of the Primarchs. plus I forget who is the Valoris. So the Trajan Valoris is right here, and then Belisarius Call. But you have Ferrus Manus, because the popular theory is that Ferrus Manus now leads the Legion of the Damned. You have Sanguinius, you have Corvus, and then these are like artistic interpretations of the armors of each of the Primarchs. And some of these are very accurate. Gilliman's is this is exactly what it looks like. This is what the Lions looks like. This is a really cool interpretation of Jagatai's. I love the way that it looks. Obviously, here's Lehman with that fucking claw. You have Dorn. Vulcan's armor is so fucking cool looking. You have the Flamestorm gauntlets on them. Like, God, Vulcan is the man. It's the fucking man! Did you see Bolt Gun 2 was announced? I did. I've already wishlisted it. I'm hoping that we see a lot of these guys come back in some form or another. We've already got Gilliman. We've already got the Lion. Those are the two most powerful legions in the setting of the Dark Angels and the Ultramarines. However, and then the third most powerful is the Imperial Fists, and their successor chapters because they have the Black Templars. Check out the art for the Talva Coalition. But yeah, now there's a lot of thought that the next guy is going to be Lehman that comes back. I could see it, honestly. He is one of the dopest Primarchs in regards to the way he looks. Master of any weapon that he basically touches. Just that fucking armor design is so fucking cool. I actually just found the artist who did that art of the Primarchs, that painting, so I'm gonna borrow it for a wallpaper. Yeah, the dude who made this is a tremendous artist. This is why I'm so pissed off anytime that I see when I see someone use fucking AI art of 40K, because 40K has so much good art that it doesn't make sense to me to fucking like steal it. It doesn't make like or to make AI art of it. It's like there's so much good art out there. Why the fuck would you use AI? Like it's so fucking dumb. Might have to be, as the Space Wolves are in trouble right now with Fenris. Yeah. And that's part of the reason I think a lot of people think he's coming back. because we are at what is considered to be like the time as to where all Primarchs were prophesied that they would be returning. So he'll be back. Like, there's gonna be a point where, like, you're gonna start seeing Primarch tag teams in books. The one that I really want to see, the one that I think would be the most interesting because of the relationship between their chapters, would be between the Raven Guard and the Salamanders. Because some people don't know this. This is something that Nick Keimer wrote in. The Salamanders and the Raven Guard actually do a lot of joint operations with one another. And they have a history of working together. Which, I mean, makes sense. They're very, Corvus and Vulcan obviously are very humanitarian characters. Columbia with another $5 says, I'm a massive Iron Warrior stan. I personally think Perturabo is an excellent character. And of course I see my own faults in him. Also best armor. There's this art of Perturabo, dude, where of him as a demon Primarch. I don't think this is official. But this right here is probably my favorite. My favorite of him. He is more machine now than man, twisted and evil. But yeah, it's a really good design. So I want to pitch you guys on something. I mentioned before that I want the new rivalry for the Iron Hands to be the Salamanders. I want because they're kind of switching up rivalries. Because the Emperor's Children and the Ultramarines were not the rivalry at the beginning. The rivalry was the Word Bearers and the Ultramarines during the Heresy. But I would love to see the Iron Warriors and the Salamanders go at it. Because I had this idea. I'm gonna speak through the situation. You have the resurrection of Vulcan. You do a book about it where the Salamanders are all there, all 1,000 of them. And now Vulcan also sees that he has successor chapters now, thanks to Belisarius' call. And they're all there too. Big chant, Vulcan lives, so on and so forth, right? How do I feel about a Perturabo redemption arc? That's going to be part of what I hint at here. I like the idea. I'll just put it that way. Kadia X, I love that. Good username. Is that a U.S. flag version of the Punisher skull? If that is, I love your avatar, dude. But anyway, but let's say they're up against the Iron Warriors. The culmination of the fight would be Hammer versus Hammer, Vulcan versus Perturabo. And by the end of it, the two of them, like, during the whole fight, they're bantering back and forth. Like, just on philosophy, like, how could you do this? And, like, how could I not? Da-da-da-da-da. Like, the back and forth about all of this. And the way I would write it is that the whole time you're reading what Perturabo is saying, you're saying, dude, this is cope. But that would be the point. Is he's coping. He's coping with what he is. He's a demon now. He doesn't want to be a demon. He fucking hates chaos. So he keeps himself in that armor with the mask on all the time. They are consistently, but they're going blow for blow, but the Salamanders are pushing back against the Iron Warriors. The newest Horus Heresy trailer had some Salamanders and Iron Warriors action. Yeah, we're going to have a look at the Saturnite Dreadnought and the Saturnite Terminators, because I love those fucking things. But but they're going back and forth and back and forth. But they're, the Iron Warriors are losing ground. And at the end of the battle, Vulcan is standing over a beaten Perturabo. And says this, drops some badass line. But then Vulcan, instead of killing his brother, he just looks at him and goes, "Do you still have it?" And Perturabo looks at his hammer and goes, "What, that?" And he goes, "No, not Ferris's hammer." Or something like that. He goes, "Do you still have the Titan model that we made together?" Because for those who don't know, there is a Titan, a Warhound, of just like a Warhound Titan. One of these. That, just a model, effectively, for strategic purposes, for like on a board. Where, Vulcan and Perturabo worked on it together. And, for those who don't know, let's say that this is the Warhound Titan, because this is like an Iron Warrior style, Warhound Titan, right? But they've got this little Warhound Titan that they built together. This little model that they built together as brothers. Which, for those who don't know, in Perturabo's book, like it's like a prized possession of his. He's very proud of it, and it's emblematic of the respect for Vulcan that he has. And he tells the story, like, Perturabo goes, "I do. I still have it." And he goes, "I once smashed Fulgrim's face into it after Istvan for disrespecting you as an engineer. I rebuilt it, but it's not the same." The reason I would use that is because that's effectively Perturabo in a nutshell. If he breaks something, he can rebuild it. He is the most gifted engineer, he and Vulcan, of everybody. Dorn is obviously very good too, but Vulcan is a craftsman. He's a smith. Like, he's amazing as an engineer as well. Like, the weaponry that Vulcan builds is fucking scary. Like, it's the best in the Imperium. Like, the brothers that he has that have weapons made by Vulcan they love them because they're amazing. But that's Perturabo in a nutshell. He can rebuild it, but it's never going to be the same thing. And he knows that. He knows that in his heart. That he fucked it up. He fucked everything up, and he hates himself for it. And that would be where they get to the truth. And at that point, I would basically just have Vulcan. I would have him kick away the hammer that's on the ground that he was using. But I would actually end the story with him offering a hand to Perturabo. Because Vulcan believes in redemption. And he doesn't want to see his brother be this. And, but at that point, I would have Perturabo just say, "I can't. I'm bound." And at that point, Vulcan would get knocked away by a gate opening, effectively. And Vashtor would step through it and then take Perturabo away. That's how I would end the book. Effectively, basically saying that the Iron Warriors at this point they're not under the command of Vashtor or under the command of Perturabo. They're under the command of Vashtor. Because for those who don't know, Vashtor is vying to become a new Chaos God. And admittedly, Vastor the Archiphane is like one of my favorite Chaos designs. Like, he's just so fucking cool looking. That would be awesome. I'm glad you think so, KDX. I appreciate that, man. I take a lot of pride in my writing. Well, guys, we've been going on for 2.5 hours. I am out of stuff to yap about, and it seems like a lot of people are taking off for the evening anyway, which I understand. No worries. I need some fucking food, man. I'm starving. But I want to say thank you to everybody for coming out, for people being very generous with your super chats today. We have hit the Frerin goal, so I will watch that tonight. My plan right now is on Thursday, we are going to do the F91 painting stream. So, we will do that then, because I think that will be a lot of fun. We're going to see if we can do the F91. The basic goal is going to be, I'm going to sit down, in the evening, we're going to start the stream, and then the stream will go on for however long, right? But I am going to prep the F91 before I do it. So we just do painting. But the goal is that we get the whole thing done within 24 hours, meaning I have to have it done by one day after on Friday. So, Tau mechs are closer to Western Mecha. Yeah, they have more in common, I think, when you look at their construction with BattleTech than they do, but they have a lot of Pat Labor influence too. But anyway, but yeah, so we will be back on Thursday evening. So everybody have yourselves a great night. I'm gonna go get some food, and I'm gonna go watch Frerin. I'm gonna go check it out, see how good it is. So appreciate all you guys for coming by, hanging out with me. Have yourselves a great evening, and I will see you guys in a couple of days.